When you think of a Battlegrounds game on Roblox, you usually picture these cool-looking abilities with fun gameplay and fair balancing, something like the Strongest Battlegrounds, or maybe Heroes Battlegrounds. However, deep into the Battlegrounds community, there resides one game. It's not really that different from some Battleground games except one crucial thing. You're not playing as your avatar, activating your Garo ultimate on some poor new player just because you woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning. No, something's different. This time, you're not human. You're a monster. But not just any monster. You're a monster from the Monster Hunter franchise, and on this particular day, you decided to become an Anjanath. Then you die, and die, and die, and die, and die again. What game is this? Why am I so ass, and how do I become the GOAT? Well, I'm glad you asked. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, then you're correct. We'll be going through how to get not just good, but gooder in Monstrous Battlegrounds. Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's get right to it. When you first play the game, you start out with Nargacuga and Anjanath unlocked, which happens to be in your favor as they're both considered top tier in this game. If you have experience playing other Battleground games before, then there isn't much for me to tell you other than the fact that there are no M1 dive kicks or Garo ultimates. But if you're new at these kind of games, then it's time to introduce you to a new world of PvP games. Like most Battleground games, Monsters consists of these mechanics: blocking, M1s, dashing, abilities, and an ultimate. To block, you simply press F to avoid getting stunned by an enemy. M1s are, well, M1s. You press the left mouse button on your mouse and you have a set of 3 M1 moves, with the third one knocking back your enemy. Dashing allows you to get closer or further away from whoever you're fighting, with front dashing allowing you to actually hit your enemy if they aren't blocking at all. Abilities are self-explanatory. There are moves that are unique to one another which allow you to damage your enemy, some of which can also break your opponent's block, called a block breaking move. However, you can also use some of these abilities to evade or back up from whoever you're fighting. Ultimates are no different from abilities, other than the fact that they usually give full invincibility frames, or what we call iframes, to whoever's using them, while also punishing whoever gets hit by said ultimate. Another thing I forgot to mention are passives. Some monsters in this game have passives that are useful for helping you with fights, by boosting your stats or giving you access to some perks unique to whatever monster you're using. On top of that, you can press R on your keyboard to make your monster roar, which is the main method of healing yourself whenever you're low on HP. Just remember that it doesn't instantly heal you, and you are vulnerable while the animation is playing, and there's obviously a cooldown. Now you know the most basic of basics. Let's get into some other important mechanics of the game. Almost every single attack in this game will stun you, allowing for a chance to get another move in on whoever you're fighting, most of the time giving way to a free combo. If you don't know what a combo is, it is basically a set of moves that keep your opponent in what's called a stun lock, which is when your opponent is unable to do anything like block or dash away, allowing you to utilize your moveset until you reach a combo ender. Here's a good example. I initiate the combo with an M1, then I hit them with my second M1, as it's not a combo ender, after which I use my A1, and after my A1 finishes, my M1 has reset, meaning I can do the first and second M1 again after it. Once I finish my second M1 again, I proceed to end the combo with my A3, sending him back. Note that this isn't the only combo you can do. However, that's the longest true combo Anjanath has, where you don't have a chance of getting hit by your opponent. Another longer combo would be 2 M1s, A1, 2 M1s, A4, front dash, 2 M1s again, and A3. This combo dealt much more damage than the previous one, however my opponent has a chance to interrupt me and get a combo on me when I activate my A4, since the wind-up time is long enough for him to get out of the stun lock and hit me with an M1. Armor's a really simple concept to grasp in this game. Basically what it is a status effect that determines whether or not getting hit stun locks you. Usually each monster in this game has at least 1 or 2 of these moves, which are very useful for getting out of situations that could otherwise be impossible to evade. Just note that some ultimates give armor instead of iframes. For example, Nergigante's ultimate doesn't grant invincibility until it actually hits a player. Still confused? Let's take a look at this example right here. I'm currently playing with my Nergigante and have this Devil Joe in the stun lock. Thanks to the wonderful balancer of Devil Joe, his fat, ugly ass manages to use his A2, which grants him instant armor with no delay. For those who are unaware, A1 after 3 M1s are a true combo for Nerd Gigante in this game due to how stun locks were designed. So, what just happened? Some of the top players of this game like to refer to Monstrous as Ping Battlegrounds, but why is this? Well, when you get good to a certain point where you're basically God with whatever you decide to touch on the selection screen, and you decide to start fighting the other gods of this game, you'll find yourself in what we call M1 clashes. These are basically when both users are close enough to each other, where one person tries to get a stun on the other with their M1, but said other person tries to counter by blocking and hitting an M1 right back at them. Unfortunately, due to the approach the game developers took for Monstrous' combat system, it's completely client-sided. What does this mean? Well, let's say we have two players, player A and player B. Player A blocks at 0 milliseconds, but it takes 100 milliseconds for the server to set the block value to true. Now player B attacks player A at 50 milliseconds, thus damaging player A even though he held block. Now, this in itself isn't really an issue in games, since most combat games deal with the exact same things, such as Project Kaiju or Attack on Kaiju 2. The problem here are the stuns. Remember when I said that Monstrous' approach in the combat system is fully client-sided? Well, you guessed it. Stuns are also fully client-sided. What this means is that since player A was holding block, the server will tell player A to get stunned since they were damaged. But because they are holding block from the client side, they don't get stunned at all. Again, this isn't really an uncommon thing with PvP games. A lot of them follow the same principle. However, there's one issue specific to Monstrous which makes this game have one of the most inconsistent M1 traits in any Battlegrounds game. Blocking in this game doesn't have a cooldown. What this means is that as long as I'm not block broken or trying to block a block breaking move, I can just press F whenever I feel like it, seeing the other guy trying to hit me. After that, I'll try to attack the other user, hoping to God that they decided to M1 twice instead of once, assuming we're in an M1 trade. Still don't understand the issue? Let me show you what the average M1 trade looks like in this game. If you skip past that after 6 seconds, well, don't worry, I decided to take an 8-hour break from editing the video after watching that clip. However, it's pretty obvious why blocking in this game was so poorly designed. It doesn't punish the other user for letting go of block at all, because even if you had the reaction time of Max Verstappen, you wouldn't be able to stun the other guy before he just presses F again. However, yes, the blocking in this game is the definition of my asshole, but it introduces something to this game that I do not see many other games force the users to do. This game forces you to think. If you're fighting someone who's equal in skill to you, limited by this game's horrid blocking system, you're not gonna let fate decide who gets a combo in or not. No. You're going to create the opportunity yourself. You have to trick, then bamboozle whoever you're fighting at all times, if you want to be able to get a combo or two on them. Or else, you'll just be stuck doing this. Ugh. When it comes to tricking your opponent, there isn't much I can teach you. However, the best I can do is show you some examples. Look at this Nerd Gigante I'm fighting. I'm sideboxing them and flicking my mouse towards them whenever I want to try and land an M1. And I notice that they are trying to M1 right after I do. So now I decide to flick my mouse back and forth once or twice to try and trick whoever I'm fighting to counter nothing with an M1, thus allowing me to get a stun lock on them with my A1. Here's another example. This time, I'm fighting a Kondra that's my Nargacuga, and the past few minutes I've been constantly dashing back and forth away from him to try and open up an opportunity to M1 him. After doing it once or twice or even 3 times, he's going to expect it the 4th time. He'll use his soil dive expecting that I'm going to try an M1 just to get a free one on me. But here's something he didn't expect. Instead of dashing into him, I dash towards him the first half of the dash, and then away from him at the second half of the dash. Right after that, I use my tail slam that grants armor throughout its use to get a free 500 damage on the shark, while he just wasted one of his best moves. Okay, I'll show you one more this time. Here I'm fighting a Nargacuga as my Devil Joe, and you can see that Nargacuga is basically doing the same tactic I was doing to that Kondroth earlier. I begin to recognize his pattern, which is him dashing close to me to try and bait my A2 out so he can get a tail slam on me. I catch him by surprise on his next dash by immediately using my A4 on him. So the moment he starts dashing, I press my A4 button, and then by the time he's done dashing, my jaws are literally open, 145 degrees wide, getting ready to wrap it around his throat, and happily take 800 HP from him. You can still beat your enemy just by outsmarting him. This very thing is why I can still cope with this game's fat-ass blocking system. It forces me to think out of the box every time I fight someone who's on my level, making each fight I have memorable. Assuming I win, of course. Before we reach the outro, here are a few clips of some of my best fights. I do hope that one day I get to meet some of you and even challenge some of you in a duel. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy these clips. Thank you so much for sticking till the end. It really means a lot, since I wanted to put some effort into this video for a game that I truly do love. Monstrous Battlegrounds is honestly a really fun game, and more people should give it a chance instead of just dropping it because it isn't the same as other Battleground type games. If you have any questions or I miss anything, please don't hesitate to ask or clarify it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to respond or fix any errors in the next video. And if you enjoyed this video in any way, or it proved to be helpful to an extent, please consider liking and subscribing as it'll help me grow a lot. For now, this is goodbye.